My father was always my hero. My dad used to say, "I am not a smart man." He would say this when he would screw up an address or misquote a cliche or screw up a name for the 500th time. My best friend, Mandy, he repeatedly called Candy. No matter how many times I corrected him, "Dad, it's Mandy." Right. I am not a smart man, he'd say. His oldest friends were guys by the name of Bunny and Johnny Sixpack. Guys he knew from growing up on the streets of Dorchester. Bunny was a tall, strong man. I remember we loved to laugh. He was stabbed 6 times walking home from our place one night. Payback for something my dad said happened way too long ago to ever make sense. When I needed legal advice, my dad suggested I go see Johnny Sixpack, a certified lawyer, we think, who got his name from his preferred method of payment, a 6-pack of beer. They used to get into a lot of trouble together, and he'd regale my sister and I with these stories when we were kids about them fighting for turf of a street corner, or diving off the piers of Nantasket, or crashing weddings so they could feed their dates. He was a security guard at Kearney Hospital and met my mother, who was a straight-laced, Elvis-listening, genius IQ ICU nurse. On their first date, he took her to a wedding. When she realized it was a wedding they were not invited to, she was pissed, but first joined the bridal party in a musical chair competition and won. They were married for a few years, had my sister and me, and a whole lot of fights. One night my mom called home to check in on us and asked my dad what he made us for dinner, and he said French fries and tater tots. He was like, "You made my children potatoes and potatoes?" I was like, "Right, I am not a smart man." My father eventually became head of security and then the vice president of the entire hospital that he worked for. My sister and I, when we were teenagers, went in to visit him we'd go in to visit him a lot, and people would pull us over when they'd meet us and be like, "Your father is a very smart man." He started making a lot of money, bought a condo in Quincy that was decorated in all white furniture and flamingo pink sculptures. The tenants before him were a gay couple that moved to South Beach, and he paid them a whopping sum to keep all of their decor behind. When my sister and I saw it for the first time, we were like, "Dad, this is a gay man's apartment." And he was like, "No, it's not. It's cultured." It was like 5 years after that my dad quit his job at the hospital and became a private consultant, taking meetings in back alleys of Southie and Dorchester. It was 5 years after that my father disappeared. He was missing for about 6 months at the time when my sister and I had turned the city upside down looking for him. And we had discovered a whole slew of things we never knew about my father. Arrest warrants, fraudulent properties that he'd taken mortgages out on, a certificate of a woman he was married to that we didn't even know who she was. All of this information coming in, and the floor kept dropping beneath us. We got a tip on where he was hiding one night, and my aunt, my sister, and I decided to ambush him. My aunt, a former Boston police captain, picked the back lot with a credit card. We go in, we're feeling through the walls, it's pitch black. I hear my sister saying, shit, where's a light? My aunt disappears to the side. We see a TV light coming from the upstairs, and we slowly climb, and my aunt's in front of me, and she turns, and I see her face just drop in recognition, and I hear my father's voice say, "Oh, fuck. We need to talk." "All right, I'll be down in a minute." We meet him in the kitchen. He stands up against the wall with his arms folded. We ask him about everything. My sister and I berate him with questions, and all he does is stand there and say, "What? No, I don't know what you're talking about, and this is all going to be cleared up. It's all just a misunderstanding." We realized we couldn't get through to him, and I realized that I didn't think my father knew the truth anymore. I walked by him with my head down, and he reached out to squeeze me the way he always had when I was a kid and said, "Allie, I'm going to make this up to you, and I'm going to turn myself in. I'm going to get everything cleared up." I left. He didn't turn himself in. He disappeared for another 6 months. When he was finally arrested and at his sentence, as his prison sentence was being stated, he jumped the prisoner's rail and made a run for it out of the courtroom. The cops tackled him just steps from the court's front doors, maced him, and carried him to jail. I heard that when the lawyer went down to talk to him, she said, "That's the stupidest fucking thing I I've ever seen anybody do. Yeah, he said, I'm not a smart man. I'm here visiting from LA. My father's no longer in my life, and I was driving through Dorchester, and I remembered this memory. We used to go to have breakfast at different places every Sunday, and one day he looked at me and said, where do you want to eat breakfast? And I said, New York City, jokingly. We drove to Boston Logan, got on a plane, flew to New York, ate at the McDonald's in LaGuardia Airport, and then flew back home. And as we landed, he said, Allie, anything is possible. And I realize now as an adult woman, while my father may not be a hero, he is a man, and he's not a very smart man. Somewhere in my heart, he will always be my hero. Thank you.